Guys, the Olympiad has finally started, and today I played the first round of the tournament. Today, Sweden faced the team of Fiji, and I played against this girl called Seidel Terubea, who was rated around 1400. So she was rated quite a lot lower than me, but at the Olympiad, everyone can always surprise you because a lot of people are very underrated. So I knew that I couldn't really take it easy today. So guys, I hope you enjoy the recap of this round. Let's go. I played d4 and d5. So I went c4 and she went for e6, and she was actually always taking like 5 seconds to write down the move that I did after every move. Like I would make a move and then she would look at the board and then she'd like take 5 seconds. And I wasn't sure, like that made me really nervous because it constantly felt like I was doing a really bad move and she was like really surprised about how bad my move was. Like it made me like mentally, like it made me like very like uncertain about what was going on. She did that throughout the whole game. But anyway, so knight c3 and then knight f6, and I just went for my standard. You guys, if you watch my blitz games here, if you like watch a lot of like my games, you know that I play this a lot. I always like take here. Not always. I'm not always going to be doing that if you're a future opponent of this Olympiad. But I'm like, this is like one of the openings that I know the most. Like I've played this for like years. And I feel very comfortable with this because it's like, it's really hard for black to like create an attack. Like, and I just didn't want to like have her attacking me a lot. So yeah, so I just took on d5. And the idea of this is basically that you're stopping black from ever being able to take on c4 and maybe like, I don't know, like going a6, b5 and stuff like that, so that you're basically just preventing all that. So by taking here, you're just stopping black from taking the pawn on c4. And then you can just freely move out with your pieces. And actually, like a lot of what you're trying to do as white is that you're just trying to play against this bishop. This bishop typically sucks quite a lot, and I'll show you how. So I start with bishop g5, just because sometimes you're threatening to take and then take on d5 because you want to take, black wants to take back with the queen, and then there's knight takes d5. Because if you take back with the pawn, black just gets a really bad pawn structure. So, I'm kidding, it's black to move. So bishop g5, she went bishop e7, which is very standard, and then e3. So I think she went castles here. Oh yeah, she went castle. Oh, and then bishop d3. Oh yeah, so I went bishop d3, and here it's just because I'm preventing bishop f5. And actually, like, I will not go knight f3 because then there's bishop g4 and then the bishop will be able to exchange itself for this knight, which I don't want. So my plan actually as white now is to go queen c2 and then to go knight f3 so that if bishop g4, my knight is not pinned, then I can go knight e5. So this is the idea. You actually go queen c2 first. So it's something like knight bd7 or whatever. Then I will go queen c2 and then I'll go knight f3 and then castle. But I will do it in that move order because, like I said, we're playing against this bishop. If the bishop goes over here, well then I'll probably go knight f3, I'll try to go knight e5, I'll try to go f4, f5 at some point. There's all of these different ideas. This bishop is always going to be a big weakness for black in these lines. So that is kind of what we're playing against. We have a little bit more activity. She went h6. In this position, here I took like 10 minutes to think. And you're probably wondering, Anna, why would you take 10 minutes to think in a position where your bishop can literally only go to 2 places? Either h4 or f4, you know, why would you take 10 minutes to think? So if you guys are watching this game live, then you maybe were wondering. In blitz games, I always go bishop h4. And then this leads to like a lot of positions where black goes knight e4, at some point after c6 maybe, right? Because this pawn needs to be defended. And then there's like some exchanges, and then, you know, this is defended, then black goes f5, and they keep this knight on u4. Or at least a pawn or something. And there's a lot of positions like that. And I kind of feel like they're pretty easy to play as black, so I decided to do something that I've never done before. I went bishop f4. I know that bishop f4 is playable because I remember that it was part of the book that I read when I was learning this opening. And there's actually like some tricks with bishop f4. Let's see that they do like some random moves, right? Let's say that there's like some random moves and this and I don't know, like random things, right? And castles. And then rook e8. And then now, yeah, knight b5. Like there's always the idea that like we're threatening this, and if like the pawn moves, then like the queen is trapped. That is basically the idea, okay? And there's only that idea with the bishop on f4. After bishop f4, oh yeah, she went a6 because she was scared of knight b5 and knight takes c7 or whatever. Like, I guess she was scared of like knight b5, knight c7, but I felt like a6 was a little bit slow. So in this moment, I went h3, and the idea of h3 was that I wanted to go knight f3, but I didn't want her to be able to go knight h5. After I went knight f3, I didn't want her to be able to exchange the knight for the bishop, so that's why I went h3, so that whenever she went knight h5, I would always have this escape square of bishop h2. And so she went c5, which is a good move. And here, I don't think, well, okay, like, I could have gone like knight f3 or something, but I didn't want to allow her to like go c4 and like start pushing all her queenside pawns. I was kind of scared of that. So that's why, everybody, I decided to take the pawn on c5, because I also wanted to play against this like isolated pawn. I felt like this pawn could become like a weakness for her in the endgames. And this pawn, because there's no other pawn that can defend it, as you can see, like there's no pawn here, either on the c or e file, this pawn could become pretty weak. So I just had to make sure that she wasn't able to exchange it for the e3 pawn, which was something that I was working on throughout the whole game. So I kind of like playing this kind of position. This is the sort of time where like this is maybe like you don't have to go for d takes c5, but it's kind of like what you prefer. Like, you know, chess is a little bit, you can like pick and choose, right? It's like candy. You can like kind of choose like what is your favorite candy. So here I was just choosing like what my favorite candy was, and isolated pawns are yummy candy. So I decided to go for the isolated pawns candy. There was bishop takes c5, so she just took back. And here I went for, I went for knight f3. I was just trying to stop her from going d4 at the same time as I was developing. So the idea here is that if d4, she can't do that because I'll just take it. And if bishop takes, knight takes, queen takes, there's bishop h7 check, winning the queen. And so here, she went for knight c6, which is also like a very, like, you know, makes a lot of sense to go for knight c6. And she's just developing, and I thought that her plan was to go d4. So here I castled, and here I was really expecting her to go d4. In fact, I think that d4 is the best move here. I think she should go d4 here. This is what I was calculating. I was calculating it for so long. There were so many moves here that I was like calculating for so long, and they just like never happened in this game. And this is like one of them. So I was calculating d4. I wasn't sure if I was supposed to go knight a4. I was thinking about knight a4, bishop a7, but then I just kind of felt like my knight was like a bit weirdly placed. So I was looking at like all of these variations, like takes and takes back. And then what was I thinking? I was just thinking maybe of playing something. Oh yeah, bishop e5 was the move that I was thinking about. I was thinking about bishop e5. And the idea is that I'm threatening to like take everywhere and like go for like the, you know, bishop check winning the queen thing. Like if I take with everything on d4, which is nice. Like I wanted to go for those sort of tricks. And like if takes and takes, then I'm threatening this knight. So I was thinking maybe she'll go bishop e7. And yeah, so I was looking at like these sort of things. I was thinking like bishop e7. And I was thinking that maybe there is queen g3 in this position, putting some pressure on the king. And yeah, these are like the sort of things that I was thinking about during the game at this point. She didn't go for d4 here, which because I think it's important to exchange this pawn for this one. Otherwise, this pawn is forever going to be a big weakness. But after castle, she went for a rook e8, which I think it's fine. Like, I guess the rook wants to be here. But it just gave me time to do more things. I went rook c1 then, because I think that the rook wants to be on c1. Like, it started looking towards the bishop. She just went bishop a7. She just wanted to get the bishop out of the pin and out of the way, basically, so that there could be like no issues. Oh, and here I went knight e2. I think this is a good move because, like, typically what you want to do is that when you're playing against an isolated pawn, you want to block the square in front of it, because, like, for her to equalize, she needs to exchange her isolated pawn for my, like, protected pawn. Like, that's what she needs to do right now. This isolated pawn is useless right now. Like, it's not a good pawn. She wants to exchange it. So by moving a piece to a square that is defending, like, you know, the square in front of the pawn, I'm basically stopping her from being able to push the pawn. And if I am at any point able to like put like a piece here, like if I'm able to like put a knight here and like, you know, be able to take back with a piece, not with a pawn, and, you know, like really like put a piece here that cannot be kicked out, then I'm gonna be like a lot better, because there's not going to be any pawn that's going to be able to kick my piece out of d4. Like, you know, because there's no pawn on c or e. So I really want to put a piece right in front of it. So I think knight e2 was a good move. After knight e2, she went knight b4. Knight b4 was a mistake. Especially after you see what just happened. Like, she went knight b4, and when I went bishop b1, she was so surprised. I don't know if she saw that there was bishop b1. And after thinking for like 15 minutes, she just went back to c6. Because the knight here on b4 is actually like really badly placed, which is why after 10 minutes, she just went back with it. Now I went knight e4, and now I just got like this really nice position. My knight is like right in front of the pawn, and the pawn is not completely blocked. And if like takes, and just takes everything, guys, I'm just gonna have like such an amazing position. My queen is so well placed. There's no piece that can kick away my queen. And all my pieces are just coordinating so beautiful. I'll bring another bishop or rook over there. You know, I'll develop my bishop. Like, all my pieces are coordinating so beautifully. Even if I'm not up in material, like, my pieces are so much better than hers. So this is like a dream position. So she went bishop d7. So I went a3. And then she went knight h4. And here now, again, I feel like her knight was, like, really misplaced. Like, this was the kind of move where I was like, I think that this is a bad move, but I'm not entirely sure of how to counter it. Like, this just felt wrong because, like, she's in the same diagonal as my queen. And that just felt, like, super wrong. Like, it just felt like that, no, it felt like this must be bad. But I couldn't really see why. So I decided that I was going to go with bishop h2. So bishop h2, and now she went for bishop b8. And I actually had not seen this idea of exchanging the bishops. She figured that my bishop on this diagonal was a lot better than her bishop over here. But you know the thing is, right, that typically in these lines, for black, the dark squared bishop is the good bishop and the light squared bishop is the bad bishop. Whereas for white, like typically the light squared bishop is the good bishop, whereas the dark squared bishop is typically the bad bishop being on this diagonal. Now she's actually exchanging her good bishop for my bad bishop. So in a way, I feel like it's a little bit of a small win, you know? So yeah, so here, I took here on b8 and rook takes b8, and okay, I was calculating all sorts of things. Now, like, I was thinking for quite a while, because I saw all of these things of, like, knight takes knight, pawn takes, and then knight d4, but I was really scared due to queen g5. And I was looking at all these crazy things, right? Because if I go knight takes c6, there's bishop takes h3, and there's going to be a crazy attack on my king, and I might get checkmated. So I cannot do that, so I was looking at f4, and then I was thinking, okay, so, like, if queen here, what was I thinking of queen here? Yeah, I think I was thinking queen f3, but I guess maybe bishop f5 is better, so I guess this is the better move. But so I was thinking all this, I was thinking if queen here, there's rook f3, I was thinking, and then the queen has to go to h4, and then I was gonna go b4, so this was my idea. But, I don't know, I was kind of scared of queen h4 immediately. I also saw some line that was like queen g5. The idea why the queen goes to g5 is because after I go knight there, I'm threatening this pawn, but I'm also threatening the knight with my queen. So I was thinking f4. I was actually looking at queen e7, but I thought that this was too complicated. Like, I didn't think she was gonna play this, but I was looking at this because if queen takes knight, then my pawn on e3 is hanging with check, and then this knight is hanging, but I thought this was too complicated. Like, I'm literally just giving you guys right now, like, the exact thoughts that were going through my head. It's really interesting for me to see this, actually. So I actually ended up going for this, but then after knight d4, I'd been looking at all of these queen g5 lines for, 20 minutes. I was looking at f4, queen e7, I don't know what. She takes 1 minute and she goes back to f6. And I was like, wow, if chess just was so simple, if chess just was so simple that you can just go back with your knight to f6. Wait a second. Did I give you the right move order? In this position, everybody, I went b4 because I didn't want her to be able to take, like, my pawn on b2. So I decided to first go for b4. And then she went for a5, which was a really good move to counter this. And then I went for knight d4. I think it would have been better to go immediately knight d4. But yeah, and now I went knight d4. And now it's when I was thinking about all of these queen g5 lines. In this position, I thought that this was, like, completely equal. And it is pretty equal. Like, I thought I might draw this. And I got a little bit worried. I wanted to, like, create some, like, I didn't want to make it so easy for her. I was looking at all different kinds of variations. Like, I felt like if I just went for knight takes c6, bishop takes, rook takes, and takes, I felt like this was the most equal position ever. I mean, like, yes. Okay, maybe in the best scenario ever, I will win this pawn. But, like, wow. 4 versus 3. I mean, it's not like that's, like, so easy to win either. Like, I mean, you give me a 4 versus 3 endgame, I'm gonna draw it. I'm too bad at endgames. I'm not MVL, I'm not Magnus Carlsen. I don't know how to win a 4 versus 3 endgame. I get a 4 versus 3 endgame with no passed pawn, and I just, like, I'll just draw. So I just knew that if I enter this, it was, like, probably gonna be a draw. Like, I didn't think she was gonna mess this up that much. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. Um, so I didn't really want to go for that. Go something like queen d2. But then I was thinking that there's just like takes, and queen b6. And I didn't know how to defend this pawn whatsoever. I just felt like I was going to lose this pawn. I took this pawn first because I wanted to get the queen out of there. And then I went bishop f5. And the idea was that if bishop takes and knight takes, and queen takes, then I was going to go rook takes c6. And I kind of felt like this position was a bit more tactical because there are like there's like all of these lines. I was gonna go queen d4, try to go knight takes h6, you know, like there's like a lot of things hanging. But anyways, guys, she blundered here. She went c5 one move too early, and this is a huge blunder. I can now take the bishop, and then after knight takes, because if you take over here, which is what happened in the game, I'll take the rook and I'll be an exchange up. And after knight takes here, there's knight c6 and I'm winning an exchange. And here, you know, this is like, I mean, I need to convert, of course, but this is just really amazing. She decided to take here because I think that if she takes this one, I will be going here, and then like these pawns are gonna get very weak. So she took the knight, and then after this I took the rook takes, and then I went here for queen takes. Yeah, so I was centralizing the queen. I was just trying to bring the queen up to the center. And then after this, she went queen takes a3, of course. She's going to take the pawn. She's going to take everything she can. And so I just went rook c3 because I just wanted to double up my rooks. I mean, I want to exchange here as many pieces as possible. The more I exchange, the easier it's going to be for me to win. Like, if I have a rook versus knight game, it should be, like, pretty easy. Well, I don't know if it's going to be pretty easily winnable, but I was just trying to exchange as much as possible because at least then I'm going to take away any attack for her, and like queens and knights can work pretty well. So I was actually a little bit scared of just exchanging like one pair of rooks because queens and knights can work really well together. So, rook c3, she went queen a2, which I think is like, makes sense. She's trying to create some sort of kingside like attack. So I went rook c1. And then she went knight e4, and the reason I was actually considering going f3 here, but I didn't want to do it because of knight h5, and I didn't want to go f3 if I didn't have to. So I just wanted to first like go rook c1 and put like my pieces in good squares, and then later on I knew I wanted to go f3 at some point because I think especially if I exchange queens, like I don't want to have this knight like over here. The only issue with f3 is that it like weakens my dark squares, but like I don't want to allow like my opponent to have a beautiful knight on e4. So I just need to make sure that she can't attack me after f3. Yeah, so I went rook c2. I had to like attack the queen and defend from queen takes f2. So rook c2, queen went to a5. This one I did a trick. So here I went f3, and that is that if she goes knight g3, which makes sense, like, you know, this looks like a great move because like you're threatening to go knight f5, which is like attacking my queen and this pawn and everything. Well, she went for this, and my plan of f3 was that if she went for this, I had this move queen g4, and I'm actually just trapping the knight, which is pretty nice. She just took this pawn. So I took the knight, now I'm a rook up. And she went, what did she do? She did something. What did she do here? So queen takes g3. She did some, oh yeah, she went queen b6 here. So I just went queen f2 just to, you know, stop this pin. Then she pushed d4 just to defend the rook, and I went rook d2 because I wanted to double up my rooks and attack this pawn. I mean, like, you know, this pawn is gonna fall. Like, there's no way of defending it because if you defend the pawn with the queen, you know, then the rook will probably fall in most of the cases. So there's not really any way of defending here. Like, this was just really good for me. Yeah, so what did she do? Oh yeah, so she went for this queen a6 move. I took the pawn, and then she went rook e2. And there were like a lot of things here, but I just wanted to keep it as safe as possible. I just wanted to play safe at this point. Like, there was no reason to do anything else. She did something fancy. Oh yeah, she did queen a7 check. Here she was playing pretty fast, and then I just went king h1 so that there's like, you know, so that there's like no checks or anything. Now my king is on a light square, so there's no checks. I went rook f2, attacking my queen. I'm just going from memory, guys, now, so yeah. So rook f2, attacking my queen. And so here I just saw that, I mean, this is like, I thought this was like a checkmate pretty much. I saw that I had check here. She went king h7. I went queen d3 check. then g6, and then queen c3. I mean, I wasn't sure how she's gonna stop the checkmate. Like, there's rook h1 or h8 or queen h8 coming. I guess that she has to go something like g5 or something, but I thought I was seeing some checkmates. Like, this is gonna end up being a checkmate. I have my rook up. This is like completely GG. Okay, so queen h8, king g6. I mean, oh yeah, this. Oh yeah, and then I'm just taking here, yeah. Yeah, this is just a checkmate, and I guess if this, then I just have queen f6 checkmate. Yeah, this is just a checkmate. A forced checkmate. So she resigned after queen c3 here, actually. This is the moment where she resigned. So guys, I hope you enjoyed the recap. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'm doing my best to upload these recaps as soon as I can after the games, so in the evenings here in India, but it might be that some of these days I'll upload them early in the morning the next day. I hope that's okay, but I do hope that you're enjoying these recaps and seeing my journey through the Olympiad. I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye bye!